All right. So premium assortment, really just going to focus on the one module today, which is I think the last module in the premium section with actual content. And it's comprised of 3 dashboards. So pretty quick, but it does cover several complex analyses that it'll take a little bit of time to explain, but again, we'll get through it pretty quickly. So this module again is really all around helping you understand what are your good performing products, what are the products that are really contributing a lot to your business, and what are the products that are maybe due for a refresh or maybe need to be cut from your shelves. This is especially relevant for people suffering from a ton of SKUs, just overstocked chronically at the store. This is very relevant for my home market, Washington, where the average retailer carries more SKUs than a Trader Joe's. So when looking to make certain cuts from your inventory, this is a great place to start. The inventory performance overview dashboard is just going to give you a pretty comprehensive overview of your inventory on hand. And it's going to it's much of this information you'll be able to get in some of the retailer pulse dashboards, but this is just kind of laying the foundation. So you want to do this by store. You do have the option to aggregate stores, but because some of the analyses are kind of on a per store basis, I always recommend just doing this on an individual store level. If you want to further limit your inventory, like I know a lot of people don't love to look at their paraphernalia included in some of their reporting because they know that they're overstocked in paraphernalia, they have a lot on hand. And that's just going to be something that you'll probably consistently see within the industry, and it may be unavoidable. But if you want to limit your category selection to just a certain number of categories, maybe we do want to exclude paraphernalia, we can just use this category. What is the paraphernalia? It is non-cannabis products. So we can exclude it using our category filter. But I'm actually not going to hit refresh, and I'm just going to leave this at all categories. And we're looking at my Belltown demo store, the distinct number of SKUs in stock, that's 2336. Revenue, this is over the last 60 days, revenue at the store. Percent of stock SKUs without sales in the last 60 days, 43%, which is kind of alarming. This is a demo store though, keep in mind. But that means that 43% of my SKUs on hand today have not had a sale in the last 60 days. And then this tile over here is kind of a call out to the Pareto Principle, which we we praise as kind of the holy grail at Headset as one of the measures that is really indicative of a strong retailer. 20% of your input generating 80% of your output. If you've heard the 80-20 rule, that's the Pareto Principle. So your inventory and your sales should really mirror that 80-20 rule. So 20% of your input, your SKUs, your in-stock SKUs should make up about 80% of your sales. And so that's what we're seeing here. This is actually pretty much on track with that, 23% making up top 80%. It is cut off, but that says 80%. Store category overview. This is just going to show you all of your categories and just kind of some descriptions of some of the KPIs that you probably want to look at. So revenue over the last 60 days, distinct number of SKUs. So 806 in the flower category, that's a lot. 546.7 distinct SKUs in the pre-roll category. You can see the number of distinct brands, vendors. Just as a reminder, the brand and vendor fields may be different for you. They may be the same. It's really just dependent on the point of sale. Brand is generally the brand on the label of the product. Vendor sometimes is at the distribution level, and it's generally at the provincial level at the like the AGLC in Alberta or whoever is distributing product in Canada. So just be aware of those differences, but stuff that you probably already know. Top 20 SKUs in stock with no sales. These are going to be looking at the top 20 SKUs in that 43% that we were just looking at. So this is only going to be limited to 20, but you can actually download this and you can see all of the 43% of the SKUs that were called out earlier in an Excel spreadsheet. So if you do have Excel, if you have the ability to download the data, you can download all of those SKUs, and you can, the one kind of tool tip here is you have to, when you download it, if you hit current results table, it will just download the top 20. It will download as it's displayed on the screen. But you want to download everything. So to do that, you actually have to come in here and just select custom and just put an absurd amount of rows, like 5,000, 50,000. It doesn't really matter, just enough space to allow for the full download. For some reason, all results, you would think it works, but it actually doesn't. So just select like 5,000 rows or 50,000 and then press download, and then you'll see all of your SKUs. The one caveat here is that you'll probably see some of these heavily stocked SKUs that don't have sales on this report. These are products that likely were just recently stocked, like maybe as recent as today, and they just haven't had a chance to sell. So if we actually sort this the other way, you'll see that there are probably a lot of single SKUs that are generally, yeah. So these are all single SKUs, one on hand, that are just sitting. They haven't had a sale. So these are ripe for like a promotional opportunity, or at least just to kind of reevaluate that product. Maybe it's past its expiration date and maybe you need to get rid of it. Top 20 overstocked SKUs, kind of going to be similar. So again, you can download this. If you wanted to download all of your SKUs that are overstocked, you can download this this table. But this is just going to highlight those products that have a lot of product. You either have a lot on hand, or you're just not really selling a lot of them. So you don't have a lot of these products on hand, like down here. You only have 46 on hand, but you're not selling very many. You're actually selling 0.0, and it's probably rounded. It's rounded to the nearest 10th, but it's probably like 0.001. It's moving that slowly. And so for that reason, we're giving you a really high projection of its stock coverage. The higher the stock coverage ratio, the more overstocked the product, the smaller the number, the less overstocked. Top 20 understocked. So these are going to be the products that are moving super quickly, and you are likely going to run out in the next couple of days. It looks like, this product you're selling on average 5 units a day. You only have 1 on hand, so likely you will run out of this product today. And that's a similar case with really all of these products. And then as we get down to the bottom of the page, this is going to look a little foreign to you at first. It's going to be kind of a distribution of your products through a grading analysis or framework that we call ABCXYZ, which is a mouthful, but it's an analysis that we use at Headset to grade your products based on 2 attributes. We look at your product's revenue share, and we look at their basket penetration. So revenue share is just the amount of revenue that it's contributing to the business, and basket penetration is the percentage of baskets that those products are within. So why do we do this? Well, it's a really good way to kind of evaluate your full product matrix, to see what are really those good performing ones that I always want to keep on the shelves, that I always want to make sure that I consistently reorder. And what are those products that are dead weight, that are poor performing, and I may need to substitute for other better performing products. This is going to show me just a very high level glance at my full inventory. So I can see that 15% of my SKUs, so 15% of the 2,300 are AX. Those are good performers, and I'll explain the AX, I'll explain the grades in a second. But those are contributing 52% of my revenue. I can see my CZs, which are kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. Those are my poorest performing SKUs. Those, I have 21% of my SKUs within that category. So to explain the grading matrix a little bit more, again, really there are two attributes that we look at when a product is sold. So we look at the sales value that it's generating over the time frame that you've selected, and we look at the basket penetration. And basket penetration you can kind of think of as analogous to consumer demand. So high basket penetration, high demand, low basket penetration, low demand. The ABC portion looks at sales value. So the highest sales value is going to receive an A grade, like that's the best grade that you can receive. C is going to be the lowest end, and then B is going to be somewhere in between. The reason why you don't just look at sales value is because say you have just these higher priced items, maybe they're larger package sizes, like eighths of flour. Those will probably receive like an A grade just because they are contributing a lot of revenue. If you just graded pre-rolls on sales value, they'd probably receive a C grade or maybe a B, somewhere in between. But those are products that are still good performers because they're selling super frequently. So the way that we account for how frequently those products are purchased, the demand, is the basket penetration portion. So that's why we don't just look at ABC and we don't just look at XYZ, we look at them together. So XYZ, the X is going to represent the highest consumer demand, Z is going to be the lowest, and Y is going to be somewhere in between. For those of you who want the exact percentages, so if, and you can ignore this if this is too much information, but for the A's, that's going to be the top 70% of your products that are contributing revenue. B is going to be 70 to 90%, and then C is going to be the bottom 10% of SKUs. And then for the XYZ portion, it goes 0 to 30%. The top 30% and the highest in the X grade. Y is going to be 30 to 70. And then Z is going to be the bottom 30%, 70 to 100. So it's based on kind of those percentiles, again, 0 to 30, 30 to 70, 70 to 100. And then the ABC is going to be 0 to 70, 70 to 90, 90 to 100. And that is in a help article if you need to reference that, because I know that's a lot of information. All right, so the next dashboard inventory comparison is going to break out that ABCXYZ distribution that we just saw into more granular components. So now we can look at that through a category lens, through a brand lens. So I'm scrolling halfway down the page and I am just looking at my products that were sold in the last 60 days. And I'm slicing that by category. So I'm looking at all my categories and I can see the respective grades within each category. Grading is intra-category specific. So we're only grading flour products against flour products. We're not grading flour against non-cannabis products, because if we did, flour would probably always come on top. It would always win. So these are all intra-category grades. You can isolate any of these grades. So I can see flour, I've got 69 products in the AX grade. Maybe I just want to look at all my AXs across my category landscape. I can just isolate that data point. All of these are dynamic, these visuals and these tables, so you can click on and off data points. To isolate one, you actually have to hold down the Alt key, ALT, and then click it. It's just another tooltip. If you don't remember that, you can can deselect everything else, but just as a quick shortcut, just holding down the Alt key will isolate that grade. Within each grade, you can click on it to see all the underlying SKUs. So I have 15 of these, forget what grade that was, but I can click on it to see the actual product names. So I have 15 of the, what grade was that? AZ. So those are average performers. So A would be high revenue, Z would be low basket penetration. So maybe these are those like really high priced items that are fetching a lot of revenue, but are just infrequently purchased. So I've got 23 of these Russian cream blunts. Got maybe time to reorder some of these that are running low on inventory. So I can look at that through a category lens. I can look at that from a brand perspective, so I can slice the data by brand. And I can also exclude categories. So maybe I just don't want to look at my non-cannabis products at all. I can, again, use my category filter to exclude certain categories. This chart here, and this is going to show a lot of brands. Okay, yeah, so that, what I recommend is if you do look at information by brand, is look at it by one category. So I just look at beverage brands, just look at flower brands. So I'm just going to select beverage here. That's going to clean this up. So this graph right here, or this visual, it's showing you distinct products by grade. So you can see I've got 7 here. My x-axis is the distinct number. If you'd rather see that from a percentage basis, like what percentage of this brand are AX products, are AY products, this is going to show you that information. So same information, just displayed differently. This is the number of SKUs within that category, and this is going to be the percentage of SKUs. So 100% of my SKUs within the legal beverages brand are products that don't have sales, actually. So these are ones I would probably, as an inventory manager, I would definitely be keen to look at this further to see what's going on, why aren't they selling. The analysis that I skipped over, the top portion of the page, it's similar to the ABCXYZ in that it kind of helps you grade your products, but it's kind of through a different lens. So we employ another analysis called a fair share of sales analysis. And what this does is it compares the percent of sales of a brand to the percent of products on your shelves coming from that brand. So if we looked at Little Ray's, and this demo store has some data cleanup to do because you can see there's 3 duplicates. Actually a lot of duplicate values, and it's not great, but you can see, for example, Little Ray's has 1 product on the shelf, which represents 2.9% of the beverage products, contributing 8.6% of sales. So 1 product contributing 8% of the category sales. If you compare that to this brand down here, Skewered, this brand has 1 product, so the same amount of products, but only contributing 0.3% of sales. So if you just you don't have to do any mental math, you just compare 8.6 to 0.3. This brand is the clear front runner. You're getting a lot more bang for your buck from this brand. And for that reason, this brand is going to receive a higher score on the index. So you'll see this kind of color coordinated index. The higher the value, the more green, the darker the value, or the redder the value, sorry, the lower the value. So the higher, the greener index is going to represent products that are ones that you really want to keep in stock. You maybe even want to lean into a little bit further, maybe expand your product selection. If you're getting 8% of your revenue from just 1 product, you'd want to see like, okay, what does introducing another product from that line look like? Maybe it's a really a cool brand that resonates with your customer base, maybe they're wanting more. And then if you compare that again to the skewered brand with the same amount of products not contributing a lot of revenue, maybe that's a product that I want to reevaluate. It doesn't necessarily mean that I should get rid of that brand completely, because maybe that brand fills a specific niche within my product landscape, but it's something that I want to reconsider because it's just with my limited shelf space or my limited menu space, it's not really doing me a whole lot of good. So this analysis, again, it's comparing percent of sales to percent of products. And what's also cool about this is you can click into each of these to see what the underlying SKU is. So if you wanted to see, okay, what is that one product that's contributing 8.6% of my sales, you can click on the brand to see what it is. So it's the strawberry lemonade, which I've had, and it is quite good. And this is just a corresponding visual as well as this. This is looking at average sales per product. So this top one is looking at the index, which again is right here. So 292 for Little Rays is right here, 292. So it's just a visual rather than a table. And then this is actually going to be looking at average sales per product, which you can find right next to the index. So the higher the index, you'll also find that the higher the average revenue per product. So those are just two visuals that correspond to the table. And again, it's not a direct correlation to the grading from the ABCXYZ analysis, but oftentimes what you'll find is the lower indexed products or brands are the ones with lots of CZ products, lots of CYs, or products that don't have any sales. All right. Lastly, inventory product details, which is the third dashboard. It's information that we've already reviewed. It's just a different way to filter and to sort the information. So previously in the two dashboards that we were looking at, there was no filter to like sort by grade. But if I wanted to just isolate beverage AX products, I could come in here and I could look at all of my AXs. This is probably more helpful for someone like a purchasing manager actively purchasing product. Because the AXs, the good performers, these are always products that you want to keep in stock. I would really just kind of maybe look at these, the AX, AY, the BX products, and just see like how you're doing with quantity on hand, making sure that those are in your reorders. So this major Pink's lemonade, I have one left. I'm selling 0.9 a day when it's in stock. So I'm gonna run out probably tomorrow, just given how fast it's moving. So I definitely wanna make sure as a purchasing manager that this product is in my next purchase order. So, and there are just other metrics in here. So it's going to be all of this information is going to be with respect to the sales date. So I've sold of that product, $335 worth. I've got 1.2 days remaining. It's been in stock 47 days. And you do have to sort through each, you do have to filter by each inventory grade. You can't, unfortunately, combine grades into this filter or multi-select. But because you don't really want to be reordering poor performing products or average performers for that reason, I mean, I would just always be looking at the good performers and just making sure that just doing a quick spot check and saying, okay, hey, is this on my reorder report? Great, moving forward. So, and then you can further filter this by brand if you'd like. This could also be helpful when you are talking with your brands as a purchasing manager, or like if you're in like brand relations and you're maybe negotiating something or just talking about products that you're carrying, maybe giving certain feedback to the brand. This is a good page to reference and just to look through their products. that is it. I know that was only 3 dashboards, but kind of a lot of information. Again, we do have links to the ABCXYZ analysis on our website or in our help desk. But if you really want more information on that, it's a common analysis, not just specific to the cannabis industry, but really all industries. I mean, I know it's very common in real estate. So if you just do a quick Google search, that could also give you some more context.